Hey, what's up? My name is Nelson, and today I'm going to be talking about Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Doctor Strange, with the help of mystical aliases, both old and new, travels the mind-bending and dangerous alternate realities of the multiverse to confront a mysterious new adversary. Well, that is pretty much all I'm going to say. This is a spoiler-free review. First off, I'm going to say, yes, I am super late. I really had to, have this sit for a little bit, because this movie is truly insane. I've seen it 2 times now, and definitely seeing it the second time gave me more time to look at stuff and just process this. You know, Benedict Cumberbatch is so great as Doctor Strange, and every time I see him, it seems to get better and better. I loved him in No Way Home, and he did, like I said, in this one, he just seems to just get better and better. Basically, everyone's really good in this. Benedict Wong, I love that dude so much. I would love to just see him in an MCU series, like his own series. I would love just to see more of Wong. I love that dude. Every time I see him, I love him even more. I mean, he's got the great humor. That actor has such great he can do the drama beats and all that, and he's just such a good actor, and I just love him playing this character. He just seems to be such a wholesome character, and he's always trying to keep Doctor Strange on his, best behavior. I just really loved his character in this. Even Rachel McAdams, I ended up liking her portrayal of Christine Palmer a lot better in this one than I did in the first one. And it just that dynamic. And you see it in the trailer, her getting married and all that. Just that dynamic between the two, and just the love that they could have had. That aspect of this movie really worked, and I just really liked her character in this movie. And a big surprise to me, because I'm not a huge comic book reader. I read my Spider-Man and X-Men comics and stuff like that, but I'm not the hugest comic book reader. So America Chavez, played by Xochitl Gomez, was a huge surprise to me. She was an awesome character, and her story was just so well written, and I've heard that it does follow the comic book pretty well with her story. I guess there's 2 comic book lines they retcon it in the comics. I've kind of been trying to read up on her a little bit, but I loved her character so much in this, and just her in her power set is so unique and so cool looking. Like she basically just punches star portals to go through any multiverse dimension, and it's a sick power. And anything that she's gonna be in, I'm gonna be so excited for. If they do decide to do a Young Avengers, honestly, if they decide to do a Young Avengers, she will, out of everybody they set up, she will probably be the one I'm most excited for. I just really loved her character in this movie. And, honestly, I wouldn't even want a Disney Plus show of hers. I honestly think that we could do a full-length movie for her, and I would love to go see that. But Elizabeth Olsen stole the show as Scarlet Witch. This is Doctor Strange's movie. His name's on the title. But honestly, I think they could have just put Scarlet Witch's name on that title too, because this is very much her movie too. And just everything that she goes through was really well done. Just what they had to do throughout, what she went through throughout this film, just leading up after WandaVision. Wow, her performance, it's one of the best performances I've seen all year long. I've seen a lot of movies this year, and she, hands down, it's one of the best performances I've seen all year. She just really took on this character and just did it so well. This is her best outing as Scarlet Witch. Honestly, the big star of this for me was Sam Raimi. I was so excited to see Sam Raimi come back to the superhero genre and see what he had up his sleeve. And this movie, this is one thing I love about this is what I loved the most about this movie. This was a Sam Raimi film before it was a Marvel film. It was an MCU film, but this was more of a Sam Raimi film. They really let Sam Raimi loose. And Sam Raimi is one of the best directors that they've ever gotten to do an MCU film. A lot of times they take these movies and it's the MCU doing their thing and they slap a director's name on it. But this one, they really, really let Sam Raimi do what he wanted. And I was thinking, at the end of this movie, the thoughts in my brain were, was this more of a Spider-Man movie or more like an Evil Dead movie? And that leads me into the horror aspects of this movie. This was a horror film. I have on my Letterboxd, I have a list of every horror film that I see this year. I just have a list because I love horror movies and I like to see how I'd like to try to see as many horror movies as I possibly can. I put this movie on that list. This is a horror film. And they went there with the blood and the gore. I was shocked seeing this movie. I was like, wow, what they did. It was crazy. And you could really, really see Sam Raimi's vision throughout this. There is so much Evil Dead, Drag Me to Hell vibes in this movie, and it really, really worked. And they said it was going to be Marvel's first horror movie. They were not lying. We do get some great cameos in this movie. We get a great, honestly, they spoiled a little more than I wanted them to, spoiler alert if you didn't see the trailers, but Professor Xavier's in the movie. And I feel like they spoiled that in the trailers, and it would have been awesome to see that because that was my favorite cameo of the movie. And yeah, Patrick Stewart was awesome in this movie, and I just really wish they didn't spoil it. But there is another really couple, but one in particular that the fans are gonna love, and it was really, really great. But I again don't want to get into too many spoilers in that. And seeing Bruce Campbell in the movie, you knew that was coming. That's not a spoiler. If you're watching a Sam Raimi film, you're gonna see Bruce Campbell. His cameo was so awesome. It's so funny. And that kind of brings me to all of the callbacks to Sam Raimi's Sam Raimi's other films like Evil Dead. There's several Evil Dead callbacks. And a couple Spider-Man callbacks you can kind of see a few times, but I would have liked there to be a few more Spider-Man callbacks, but like maybe a little more when we were in New York City. I would have liked to see a little bit more of Sam Raimi's very good at showing just New Yorkers and just the people, and I would have liked to see a little bit more of that. That would have been a nice callback to Spider-Man, but all the callbacks were really, really cool. But the multiverse aspects there, you see in the trailer, they're going through all the multiverses. It was visually very, very stunning in this movie. Just shot. There was a ton of shots in this. This is one of the best looking Marvel movies out of all of them. And the score for this film, Danny Elfman's score, so good in this. There is actually my favorite scene in the entire movie. I'm not going to get into it. All I'm going to say is it involves music notes. And that score in that scene takes the show there. And it's my favorite scene of the entire movie. If you know, you know. But this movie definitely was not perfect by any means. And that's where I'm going to get into my negatives for the movie. First, the big negative for me coming out of this film was everything is so rushed. I mean, so rushed. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot in this movie that wasn't just too much going on at all at once. I mean, you beginning, America Chavez shows up, and bam, she's there. And then it goes to the next thing, and then the next thing. It's just, it did not have time to flesh out the storyline. The characters are very well done in this movie, but the storyline, it just is so fast-paced and just to its detriment. But another thing, the first 20 to 30 minutes of this film did not feel like a Sam Raimi film. It did. The second and third act felt very, very Sam Raimi-ish, and it got very horror-ish and all that. But the first 30 minutes it felt like a completely different movie, and I did not like that at all. I just did not like the first act. It's definitely the weakest act. I enjoyed it. You know, you get the squid monster in the beginning and all that. I really, really did enjoy that. But it's definitely the weakest act out of all of them. And another thing, too. This is called Multiverse of Madness, but they don't go to too many universes throughout. And that is kind of, it was kind of weird. I was like, I thought that we would be spending a little more time in the universes. And that kind of brings me back to the same thing of, it's a little too rushed. I would have liked to spend just a few more minutes in a couple of these universes. When we do go through all the universes, visually stunning, I would have liked to have spent a little more time in these crazy universes, and we just didn't. And maybe meet a few more characters and have a few more cameos throughout this. And honestly, the whole Illuminati thing, you see it in the trailers, it was, again, to my first complaint, it was very, very rushed. And honestly, I like what we got for the Illuminati, but I just felt like it was one of the most rushed things that happened in the entire movie. But overall, Sam Raimi kills it with coming back to direct another superhero film, and to my surprise, making it more horror than anything we've ever seen in the MCU. And that really, really worked for me, because I am a huge horror fan. So, I really like this movie. For my score for this film, I'm going to give it an 86%. It's my top 10 of the year so far. I do think it's going to be there at the end of the year. And I know I'm hearing a lot of criticisms about it, and I feel like people are hating this a bit too much. I'm just hearing a little too much. Especially from the film groups I'm in on social media and stuff, but just hearing just bad things about it. And this movie was so much fun. Like, oh my gosh, it's some of the most fun that I've had in an MCU movie ever. It's a good time in the theaters, and maybe not one to take the kids to, because I heard from a few people on Twitter and stuff, like Sean Chandler. If you clicked on this video, you probably know who Sean Chandler is, but he's a movie reviewer on YouTube, and he said what he liked about the movie and what he didn't like about the movie, and then he said that's not one that he'd take his kids to. He usually likes to take his kids to go see Marvel movies. He wouldn't take his kids to go see this. And there was a little girl right in front of me when I first went and saw it. She's about 7 or 8 years old, and she was terrified this entire movie. Hid in her dad's arm the whole entire movie. So it might not be one you want to take the kids to, but I loved it. I'm a horror fan. Awesome aspect of the movie. But if you like what I'm doing on this channel, like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at Nelson Reviews. Follow me on Letterboxd at Nelson48. Peace out.